Oh, wait, ooh, oh, oh. Hey, what the hell happened there? How you doing? Hey, I'm Nick Digilio. Thank you for checking out my YouTube channel. Hey, if you got some extra dough, check me out on Patreon too, which you might be watching me. Patreon.com/NickDShow. Pick a tier, donate. I do 2 podcasts. I do a lot of movie reviews. I do videos. And I do all this stuff for free. So if you have some extra dough burning a hole in your pocket, it'd be cool if you helped out. That'd be awesome. I would thank you very much. And you'll get some bonus stuff on Patreon. We're going to do a few more videos and have a few more bonus things. So if you give money at patreon.com/NickDShow, you'll get some bonuses. And you will help me out by giving some dough to help my podcasts keep going and my videos and all that kind of entertainment stuff that I provide for free. Patreon.com/NickDShow. Donate today. Thank you. I review movies, as you probably know. Creed 3 is out now. Let me just preface this by saying that I remember when Creed was coming out, I was like, ugh. I don't want any more Rocky movies. I don't think I want any more Rocky movies. The Rocky movies, the first one is a classic, and it's great, legitimately great film. I think a lot of people don't remember how good Rocky is based upon how really progressively silly and stupid the sequels got, except for Rocky Balboa, which was a really wonderful film. And I was like, man, Creed, I don't know. I know it's Apollo Creed's kid, and we're going to try that out, and Stallone's going to be in it. Oh, my God, I don't know if it's going to be. But Creed turned out to be great. The first Creed that was written and directed by Ryan Coogler, with Michael B. Jordan playing Adonis Creed, the son of Apollo Creed, and Sylvester Stallone playing the older, grizzled, and then sick Rocky Balboa. Creed turned out to be a great film. In fact, if you include the Creed movies with the Rocky movies and as part of the Rocky universe, if you want to get all fucking stupid and, comic book and Marvel about it, because everything is now universes and multiverses and all that stupid, cheap, easy way to get people out of their money. Don't get me started on how fucking stupid the Marvel multiverse comic book world is and just how dumb it is. But in the Rocky universe, Creed was the best Rocky movie since Rocky, like the original Rocky back in the day. And so, it made a lot of money. Creed made a lot of money, and then they did a sequel a couple of years later, and that made a lot of money, and now they've got the third one. But a lot of stuff has happened in between the second Creed movie and the third, and I'll get to that in a second. But Creed, the original Creed movie, was surprisingly great. Like, not just an entertaining movie, not a fun, sort of Rocky-esque movie, but a legitimately great movie, like beautifully made, really well written, incredibly well acted. Michael B. Jordan, who I have loved and I still love, despite what I'm about to say about Creed 3. I still love Michael B. Jordan. I love him. He's Wallace from The Wire, man. When he was a kid, when he played Wallace on The Wire, come on, man. How could you not love him from that moment on? How could you not love? That's it. Like when I saw him as a kid play Wallace on The Wire, I was like, that's it. Whatever this kid does for the rest of his life, I will watch, I will support, and I will love. And that's been the case. Now, I haven't loved everything he's done, especially this fucking movie, but I love him. So anyway, Creed was a big surprise. A big surprise because it was much more than just sort of a, inspiring sort of Rocky movie that fits into that, category. But it was like a legitimately great film that was incredibly well made and deserved all the honor and all the great reviews. It was a great movie. And the second one was solid. It was fine. It was good. I liked it. And now, of course, there's the third one. And I guess they're going to continue. So the Rocky movies started out great, as I mentioned before. The original Rocky movie, nobody can argue that movie, is one of the best movies, one of the best 70s movies of all time. It has that great 70s feel. So you go back and watch Rocky, it's a kind of a dark movie. It's a very 70s film that a lot of people forget just how sort of sad it was and how, it had that great sort of dark 70s vibe to it. And he doesn't win the fight at the end. Some people forget about that he doesn't win the fight at the end. And that's not what the movie was about. And you go back and you watch, and I think a lot of people forget, as I said, because the Rocky movies have become so generic and silly, and they got dumber and dumber and dumber as they went along. People forget just how fucking great the first Rocky movie was. So the first Creed movie to me was like that. So now there's Creed 3. All right. And it's terrible. Let me just say that right. Creed 3 is terrible. And I know that a lot of people liked it, and it's getting some pretty solid reviews. I thought it was really terrible and incredibly disappointing. Well, here's what I wrote when I first saw it. And this is what I wrote. This was what I posted on social media. Right after I saw it. This is literally right after I saw it. Creed 3 is not good. First of all, no mention of Rocky Balboa at all. Seriously? Look, I know Stallone and Winkler in the studio had a falling out, but this thing, except for a brief reference to Apollo and Rocky's first fight, never even mentions Balboa. In fact, his name is never even uttered, and nothing about his relationship with Adonis. Completely insulting and unacceptable. Michael B. Jordan, who directed this movie, by the way, making his directorial debut with Creed 3. His direction is fair at best, embarrassing at worst, like when he decides to shoot one of the rounds of the big fight at the end, entirely inside the minds of the two fighters, complete with overt symbolism. And his handling of the drama is overall very cornball. And my utter disinterest in anything Jonathan Majors does has not changed. I'm baffled by the praise that this guy has gotten. I'll get to that in a second. Don't understand it. But I will say this, the Creed movies are following the exact same track as the Rocky movies. The first one was great and legitimately fine film. The second one was solid, not as good as the first, and the third one was ridiculous and really dumb. That's this one. So, if they continue to follow the Rocky trajectory, then Creed 4, in that I fully expect Adonis to end the war in Ukraine and stop all tensions in China just by winning a fight and making a speech in the ring at the end of the film. So in short, stop making Creed movies now. Thank you. So that's my initial response that I posted on Facebook and on social media about Creed 3 right after I saw it. It's not a good movie. In fact, it's a really bad movie. I believe I have to quickly mention the backstory here. In between Creed 2 and this one, a lot of shit happened, including COVID, but including a huge falling out between Sylvester Stallone and now 91-year-old producer Irwin Winkler, who was the guy who took a chance on Stallone back in 1976 when nobody would. Stallone obviously famously wrote the script for Rocky and could have sold it, but was like, look, I want to play the part. I want to play Rocky. And nobody wanted to do it. Nobody did. But then Irwin Winkler and the people at MGM were like, MGM UA, were like, okay, let's give this dork a chance and see what happens. Very low budget movie. They got John G. Avildsen to direct it, and Sly made it. And he made it for no money. All he wanted was something on the back end. He really wanted to play the part. We all know the story. Irwin Winkler became buddies with Stallone. Obviously, the movie became a huge success. Stallone became a mega multi-millionaire, billionaire star, director, and dominated the 80s with his movies and his action movies and his other franchised films like your Rambo movies and all the other stuff, and Cobra, and all the other stuff that he did. So it was a very great, relationship that he had with producer Irwin Winkler. Well, that all went to shit over the past few years. Famously, like they had a big falling out. They had big creative differences. Stallone was consulted about the movie Creed. He got the okay on it, and he was involved creatively behind the scenes, the writing process of the original Creed. He helped creatively the making of Creed 2, and he was in both of those movies because it makes sense, because there would be no Creed character without Sylvester Stallone. He created the name Creed. He created the character. This series of movies, these new Creed movies, these recent Creed movies, would not exist without Sylvester Stallone at all, period. None of this shit would exist without Sylvester Stallone. Irwin Winkler seems to have forgotten that. And Stallone did not approve of the first script he was given for Creed 3. They had a big falling out, Irwin Winkler and the family and MGM, and they cut ties with Stallone completely. And it got really ugly. Like, they were really saying nasty things about each other in the press, and Stallone was putting up weird memes about Irwin Winkler and calling him a vampire and sucking Rocky dry. And it was ugly. It was ugly. They had a huge falling out. So between the Winkler family, the producers, and MGM, Sylvester Stallone was axed. He was gone. And he gets a producer credit. That's it. That's all. So no creative input, no nothing. He gets a producer credit, which means, of course, he gets a piece of money, he gets a piece of the bank, and that's fine. But the point is that this series means a lot to Sylvester Stallone. I mean, he created it. It started his career. He fought as a broke actor with no money in his pocket. He could have sold the script, but he chose not to. And he chose to say, I'll take money on the back end because he wanted to be in it. That's a risky thing for an absolutely broke, almost homeless actor / writer to make. So this series, these characters that he created in the Rocky universe, if you will, he created these Creed characters. Again, there would be no Creed movies now if it weren't for Sylvester Stallone. This means a lot to him. So to have these asshole producers go, yeah, you're done. We'll take it from here because we know what we're doing. So this huge, huge falling out that Sylvester Stallone had with Winkler and the family results in one of the worst movies of the year. And one of the most insulting movies to Sylvester Stallone you could possibly imagine. Not only is Creed 3 dumb, but there is not one mention, as I talked about, there is not one mention of Apollo, or not one mention of Rocky Balboa in the movie at all. Now, the character of Rocky Balboa not only played a huge part in the first and second movies, especially the first one. Stallone got nominated for Best Supporting Actor for Creed, for the first Creed movie. He was an important part of it. He had an incredible relationship in the movie with Adonis. Rocky Balboa and the Adonis relationship was very important. He helped form him. He helped him get over the issues that he had, and also all these ghosts that Adonis the Kid had, trying to deal with the relationship that his father Apollo had with Rocky, had to all be put to bed in the first Creed movie. And also he was diagnosed with, Rocky Balboa was diagnosed with cancer, so you had that element added to it. But the relationship between Adonis Creed and Rocky Balboa is vital and important and essential to these goddamn Creed movies. So, not only is Rocky Balboa not in this one, he's not mentioned, his name is not mentioned, never even uttered. The only time that it's mentioned is in a throwaway line, and they never say his name. They say, hey, remember when Apollo gave that guy a chance? They never mention Rocky, they never mention Rocky Balboa. And that's because, absolutely because, Irwin Winkler and the producers said, don't mention Stallone, don't mention Rocky Balboa, there will be no mention, no references, nothing. Now, in some of the earlier scripts, Rocky's character was in it. Now, for people who might forget, maybe people think, oh yeah, Rocky Balboa died, didn't he? He's battling cancer in the first movie, and he was in the second movie. He does not die at the end of the second movie. And they don't even say that. They could have killed him off in this movie. They could have killed him off. In Creed 3, they could have said, yes, in the beginning of the movie, they could have said Rocky Balboa passed away, maybe had a quick 4-minute scene where they explain that Rocky Balboa is dead now, maybe have a couple of flashbacks showing Adonis and Rocky and their important relationship, and boom, done. You'll never have to mention him again. But to completely ignore him, completely ignore the character, like these characters now, the Creed characters, his wife, his daughter, his friends, his family, they now exist in a world where Rocky Balboa never existed. It's like, Rocky Balboa, who's that? I don't know who he is. It's insulting, it's unbelievable, and it also makes for a bad script. So on top of the fact that the script is bad, it's also insulting, and it's obvious. It's so obvious that it is all about a pissed off producer trying to piss off Stallone. It's like, oh, okay, you want to say shit about me? We aren't even going to mention Rocky Balboa. So not only is it insulting to the guy who created this entire universe where Michael B. Jordan wouldn't have this goddamn job if it weren't Sylvester Stallone. These characters would not exist had they not been created by Sylvester Stallone. To completely cut him out, and not in any creative way. This was not a creative choice. This was not a writer's choice. This was a mandate put down by a pissed off producer saying, you do not mention Stallone, you don't mention his character, nothing. You ignore him. You make a Creed movie that has absolutely nothing to do with Rocky and don't mention his name or I'll fire your ass. And that's how it went down. Had nothing to do with creativity, had nothing to do with taking the story and making it just a Creed story. That's bullshit. It had nothing to do with that. It was a vindictive, petty, asshole producer who wanted to jab at Sylvester Stallone by not mentioning the character at all. It's insulting, it's unacceptable, and it's bullshit. So, on top of the fact that they don't even mention Rocky Balboa, which is unacceptable and insulting and bullshit, as I said, but on top of that, Creed 3 is just fucking dumb. It's just a dumb movie. It's Rocky 3. It's a virtual remake of Rocky 3. Jonathan Majors plays a thug who kind of is like the thug that Mr. T kind of plays. There is a death like in the Creed family, like there is a death in the Rocky family in Rocky 3. There are two fights. There's a big fight where the thug beats the shit out of somebody, and then the guy who's retired at the beginning of the movie, Creed, like at the beginning of Rocky 3, Creed is retired, he's got all the money, he's driving around in great cars, he's rich, he's got the kid, everything is going for him, he's retired, he's running a gym, he's busy, he's doing commercials, he's got this, he's got that. It's exactly like Rocky 3. Then a guy from his past shows up who he used to know when he was a kid in LA, on the streets of LA in 2002. Something horrible happens. That guy, that kid that he knew, gets thrown in jail for like 20 years, gets out of jail, and then wants revenge and wants to be the champ. So it's basically about all the bad things I did when I was a delinquent child. And that's what the movie's about. It's about dealing with these terrible things from your past, a wounded and troubled childhood, and dealing with it in the ring by this thug from the past coming back to challenge Creed. It's essentially Rocky 3. It's beat for beat Rocky 3. Big fight, brings this guy out of retirement, death in the family, bad guy threatening the family, criminal element, that kind of stuff, and then big boxing match at the end for him to win the belt back. It's fucking Rocky 3. It is a retread, virtual remake, beat for beat of Rocky 3. I just kept waiting for Thunder Lips Jr. to show up. Except for, a wrestling promotion. That's the only thing that's not in this movie that was in Rocky 3. Otherwise, it is virtually beat for beat Rocky 3. Same themes, it's the same goddamn movie as Rocky 3. I just was disappointed no Thunder Lips Jr. I was hoping that someone would, maybe MJF from AEW could have showed up as Thunder Lips Jr. That would have been great. But no, that's the only thing missing. Otherwise, it is an exact, almost replica of the themes and the beats of fucking Rocky 3. Here's the deal, assholes. You can't have your cake and eat it too. You can't you can't get rid of Sylvester Stallone completely. You can't, as a pissed off producer, say, I don't want that character mentioned because Stallone's a dick. So in this world, Rocky Balboa never fucking existed. So by mandate of a pissed off, vindictive producer, you cut out every reference to Rocky Balboa as though he never existed. And yet, you remake Rocky 3. And, let's use Bill Conti's Gonna Fly Now music cue a few times in the movie. Let's structure it exactly like Rocky 3. Let's use the Bill Conti iconic music. But no mention of Rocky. No mention of Rocky Balboa ever. So here's the deal. I hated this movie. And it's ultimately about an asshole vindictive producer having a thing about being pissed off at Stallone and then mandating to the dickheads who wrote this script, Ryan Coogler's brother and another guy wrote this script. And so it is an act of pure selfishness on the part of Irwin Winkler and the producers to not include Rocky. And so that hurts the movie. And a lot of people are like, well, what do you care if Rocky's in there or not? It's a story about Creed. You can't do this without that. And then, fine. It's a complete solo project. It's all about Creed. He was in the shadow. Nobody wants to. They're done with Rocky. Okay, you're done with Rocky? Then don't remake Rocky 3. You want to be separate from Rocky? Okay, cool. This is Creed's thing. Michael B. Jordan's like, no, this is Creed's story. It's about his past. It's about his story. It's not going to have Rocky in it. Okay, that's what they're saying. It's not going to have Rocky in it. Well, you know what? If you don't want Rocky at all, then don't fucking remake Rocky 3. Because Creed 3 is a remake of Rocky 3 without Thunder Lips. Don't remake Rocky 3. You want to be like, this is a Creed story. No Rocky, no Stallone, none of that shit. It's a Creed story. Well, you know what? Don't rip off Rocky 3 and don't use the fucking Bill Conti score. Okay? You can't have your fucking cake and eat it too. You can't go, this isn't Balboa. We don't want any Balboa at all. Da-da-da-da, gonna fly now. Oh yeah, don't worry about that. We can use that. Oh, yeah. The exact same plot and beats and emotional payoffs from Rocky 3. Yeah, we'll do that. But no mention of Rocky Balboa. Stallone's a dick. I'm Irwin Winkler. No Stallone. No Rocky Balboa. No mention. No name. None of that. But yeah, let's remake Rocky 3. And yeah, let's use the Bill Conti score. So that's bullshit, okay? You want to make it a Creed movie? Cool. Awesome. You're going on and on about how this is a Creed movie. No Rocky at all. Okay, then don't remake Rocky 3 and don't use the fucking Bill Conti score. And then on top of that, it's a bad movie. Some of the decisions that Michael B. Jordan makes as a director, he's not a great director at all. That fight, the big moment during the fight, the 11th round that takes place in the minds of the fighters, ridiculous. Absolutely. Suddenly they're in jail. They're fighting in jail. Suddenly they're their teenage self. There are mattresses and they're in it. In the most forced, ridiculous, overtly symbolic bullshit way. He takes the fight, stops the momentum of the fight, and some of the fight scenes are actually, the few fight scenes in this movie aren't bad. They're nicely edited, they're beautifully choreographed, and then suddenly he goes off into fucking Terry Gilliam land and goes inside the minds of Creed and the other jag-off played by Jonathan Majors. No, look inside their minds, and they're going back symbolically through their childhood, and one was in prison, and what? Get the fuck out of here. It's like filmmaking. It's like a junior at Columbia College exploring symbolism by putting these two guys in a fucking wrestling ring with prison bars and shit around. It's embarrassingly basic bad filmmaking 101. And it also takes you out of the movie completely. The audience I saw it with was going, "What the fuck is going on? Isn't this supposed to be a fight scene that we're supposed to be excited about? And now what? We're in a student movie." We're in like a college student's fantasy about his childhood trauma? Get the fuck... So, I'll tell you one thing. He didn't learn about boxing scenes from Stallone. That's for sure. Okay, that's one thing that they didn't do. So, and then on top of it, the basic drama, what happens within the family, the conflicts. Tessa Thompson, who was so great, especially the first one, is reduced to nothing. She's basically Adrian. By the third movie, Talia Shire had nothing to do but give a speech every once in a while and go, "Rocky, you need to do this and run on the beach." And then Tessa Thompson is now doing the Adrian role. So all of the supporting characters, all of the drama that took place, it's second-rate and third-rate Rocky III ripoff. It's a bad movie, a really bad movie. Even discounting, to get rid of the fact that it's insulting that they don't include Apollo. I'm sorry, I keep saying Apollo. Apollo's dead, but they don't include Rocky Balboa at all in it. No mention of him at all. Just take that out. It's a bad movie. It is Rocky III, and Rocky III is a bad movie. I mean, it's fun, and it's fun to watch, and I watch it on cable, and I laugh at it, not with it, because it's a bad movie. So yeah, Creed 3 is a bad movie. It is a rehash of Rocky 3. So, not a good movie, poorly directed, ham bone acting, and I do not understand this Jonathan Majors thing. I don't get it. I saw The Last Black Man in San Francisco. I thought he was fine in that. Couple of moments in the Lovecraft thing, I thought he was okay. Don't like him in I didn't like him in Devotion. I didn't like him in that goddamn Ant-Man movie, or now he's Trog or Fuckhead or whatever the hell his name is in those stupid Marvel Loki thing. I don't know. I don't get this guy at all. His choices are obvious. There's nothing going on. He's a lot of twitches and looks, and I do not understand the Jonathan Majors thing at all. I don't get it. It's forced intensity and a lot of biting the lip and a lot of this shit. I don't get it at all, but people love it. God bless you. I don't think he's a very good actor. I think he's one note and he repeats the same tricks in every goddamn movie he does. So the Jonathan Majors thing, I do not get. I love Michael B. Jordan. He'll be fine after this. Fine. And he's a beautiful man. And by the way, both specimens, if you want to see some hunky, beautiful men beating the shit out of each other, they are beautiful to look at. Whoa. Absolutely. And I love Michael B. Jordan, and I always will. And I love Tessa Thompson. This is just a major mistake. A major misstep. So, not only an unbelievable fucking insult to Sylvester Stallone, who created all of this shit. None of this would exist without him. A petty argument between a jagoff producer and Sylvester Stallone gets him excised from the entire thing with no mention. Insulting, terrible. And it's fucking Rocky 3. So, if you liked Rocky 3, okay, fine. But you realize, of course, that Rocky 3 is a really stupid fucking movie. So this is Rocky 3 with Creed, essentially. Okay? So, not a good movie at all. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how people receive it. The audience I saw it with, they were a homey crowd, Homer crowd. You know what I mean? Like they were a home. That was like the home crowd, man. Yeah, we're here to root it on, and they were very excited. It didn't seem to win over the audience I saw it with, and this was like a huge, screening. It was packed, and people were hyped. They were cheering before the movie started. When it was over, people were kind of like, I don't know, man. I don't know. So we'll see. And a Homer crowd. By a Homer crowd, I mean like you're at home. This is the home team. We are rooting for the home team. We're the Homers. It didn't go over as well as you would think. So it'll be interesting to see what the crowds think of it, what the public thinks of it. I thought it was terrible. So Creed 3, bad movie. Sorry. I'm just reporting the facts. So anyway.